Join me, Christine Upchurch, every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on KKNW AM 1150 and Transformation Talk Radio, and learn new ways to step into your vibration of change. Welcome back to the Christine Upchurch Show here on KKNW in the Seattle area and Transformation Talk Radio around the world. I'm having a fascinating conversation with James Redfield. And, you know, I don't think I read his complete bio before, but it's pretty impressive. I mean, we're talking about the New York Times bestseller list, 3 years, including #1 for Celestine Prophecy. He's a lecturer, a filmmaker, a therapist, a writing and business consultant. And he's won all sorts of awards, and he has been included on the Watkins list of the 100 most spiritually influential living people today. So it's so great to have you here. And it was a kick for me to be rereading the Celestine Prophecy because it's been many years for me, and I had forgotten what an exciting adventure it is. So it's fascinating to me that you bring forth 9 of what I think you say are 12 insights total in the Celestine Prophecy. So
that's right. Yeah, it's again, and I'm honored always to talk about the subject, and to it's always it comes out a little differently, but depending on the audience, and I find that interesting. But again, it's the insights that are covered in these 4 novels are really steps in the consciousness. And, Carl Jung, the famous pioneer of psychoanalysis, broke from Freud because he wanted to introduce consciousness into psychoanalysis, into the whole therapy world, and he did that. But he had these ideas that we open into consciousness through steps, and these steps are firing up archetypes in our brain, the pathways that are already designed in our brain, and all we have to do is fire them up. Like, you don't have to think about each step when you learn to walk. You know that that pathway is already in your brain, and consciousness is too. And so it's very interesting to me that the whole last 100 years, beginning with him, of human potential study, has arrived at these, in my view, these 12 steps into, and 12 is a holy word in a number in the world, and that's what I believe there are. We fire up these 12 pathways in our brain, and suddenly we can sustain the consciousness that we sense is out there for us.
And I really do believe that there's a synergism between them. It's kind of like it's almost like you learn one insight and you learn to live that insight, at least, a good deal of the time. And then there's another piece. And when you put those 2 pieces together, it's the sum is greater than just the 2 parts added together. It's
right.
this synergy of expansion.
And ultimately, you get to this place where your best creativity and your best mission starts to develop in the world, and it becomes the most fun of all.
So why is creativity important?
Well, I think we come here with a mission, and again, that's one of the key openings in our brains, is that in consciousness we start to hear these intuitions that seem to be guiding us towards something. Right. I mean, you coming from wherever you came to develop this show, you know all kinds of synchronicities happen,
Oh, yes.
Mysterious coincidences that open doors. It's supposed to be, I don't want to say magical, because magic is too ego dominant, but it's absolutely fascinating.
It is, and sometimes it'll make me laugh. Yeah, yeah.
The world is designed for our dreams to come true. We just don't step into flows that wait for us, or it's hard to.
how do we step into those synchronicities and start, following those signs that are everywhere?
Well, first we have to center. We. I know before I started thinking about this, life was just, I was just kind of running through it and not thinking about what was happening around me and trying to do this and that. But once you realize that waiting for us is this flow of mysterious coincidences that open all the doors, but what you realize that you have to slow down and look at what's really going on. The people that cross your path, the what jumps in front of you and you're on your computer,
right.
the chance news report you hear on a television you're walking by. All these are potential guidances into our dreams. So what happens is it just kind of all of us who I know. Once you tune in, then you're kind of beat over the head with these synchronicities that are trying to lead you somewhere, but they're hard to interpret. What do you do? But you have to slow down and get on in this flow of life. And that's the first breakthrough point. You have to realize that the evidence for spiritual consciousness in the world is synchronicity. And Carl Jung is the one who coined that phrase, the detection one has, the experience one has of meaningful coincidence. And once you start to tune in to these, and everybody has had one, right? How'd you get your job?
Oh, yeah.
How'd you come together with your spouse?
Right.
How'd you do this and that? And people say, boy, I was lucky. Were you just lucky? Or was this a hand of fate operating in your life, seeking to get you to step into this path?
So one of the things
that's just kind of you have to train yourself to wake up in the morning and look for the first synchronicity. That's a different way of approaching life.
So do you think that I'm not sure if this is sort of a chicken or egg kind of question, but one of the things I found is the more I'm aware, the more signs I get. And I'm not sure if it's just because the signs are always there all over the place, an abundance of them, or if really it's through my intention of being aware of the synchronicities that more of the synchronicities flow. What's your perspective on it?
I think it's both. Once you decide, okay, somebody has heard Christine talking about this, and they say, well, I'm going to wake up in the morning and start looking for synchronicity. Well, yeah, they see things happening that they wouldn't have noticed before.
Right.
So, but also once you start to see them, you start to expect them.
Yeah.
And when you expect them, you know what the power of intention is. It's a key insight. But it's a matter of then realizing that they start to happen, in my view, more frequently.
And it's sort of a combination of the intention and attention that is a fabulous combination.
That's right. That's right. But they get larger also as you fire up more parts of your brain, your consciousness, right? Yeah. The second and third insights are, to me, very important, because the first thing you do is you say, okay, well, if this is real, oh my God, if this is real, it means that spiritual consciousness is real. It actually means that the whole world is designed spiritually for you. It's metaphysical. And once you do that, the next insight is, oh, well, this must have been happening all through history of the human race. Well, yes. All the heroes that came to discover, to end slavery, to discover democracy, to make a certainly progressive step in the world, that all happened synchronistically. That was someone following their synchronicity to come from nowhere to accomplish some thing that helped.
Right.
So, and then the third insight we talked about, which is karma.
Yeah.
To me, this needs to be a longer discussion. So I invite anybody, who's really interested to come to one of my workshops somewhere. But the thing about karma is that I think without a doubt you can prove to yourself that it's about helping. So if you're looking for synchronicity, that's great, and you find it. But if you don't also think, okay, I'm talking to this person, buying a ticket for an airline, do I have a synchronicity for them?
Yes.
See?
Yes.
So then you tune in, and once you start tuning in to how you can help, unbelievable openings happen in your consciousness.
Yeah.
That's why I say it's all designed for helping. And so I believe the karmic design is this. You have to be focusing on the synchronicity of who can help as much as who can help you, who can provide a synchronicity for you.
It's funny. Years ago, I had a fascinating experience trying to get a gift for somebody in a very short period of time, and I ended up writing an article about the importance of give and take within the process of manifesting. And it kind of illuminated for me that playing that synchronicity for others was such an important part of manifesting what it was I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because sometimes, usually, if you're have an intuition to help someone and you tell them whatever truth comes to you to tell them, and they go, "Oh my God, I need to hear that just at this time in my life."
Yeah.
That happens all the time, right?
It does.
And so there's a give back immediately from it, but there's a long-term effect in my view, because I think the karmic design is, if you're a helper, if you spend an equal time not trying to just listen for other people's help to you, but if you really focus half time helping, being a synchronicity for someone else,
right,
that makes you a giver karmically.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if you're a giver karmically? I believe you can prove to yourself that more people, the more you give, the more you draw into your life people who will give to you. So synchronicity goes faster, right?
Right. Yes.
So that's the key. Now, what happens if you're a taker? And we take without being conscious of it all the time.
Sure.
Every time you manipulate somebody for attention or for job reasons or to sell them something they don't need or any of that, there's an equal response to that. If you're a taker in any way, what happens is that you draw into your life more takers who slow your synchronicity down, right? Because they're there to misuse you or but not as punishment.
Right.
It's to show you what you're doing. That's why I've seen it over and over again. I mean, in work, I worked at a prison one time, and doing counseling, and it was so funny because I had a group of thieves, people who are habitual criminal takers,
Right.
outright thieves. Right?
Yep.
And they would all say, I say, "Why do you do this?" And they say, "Why not? Everybody does it to me." So,
again, it's a chicken and egg
you're
thing. Yes.
You're proving karma. Yeah. If you steal, you're going to be stolen from in some way.
Yeah.
And we're unconscious if we steal energy. And that's a big part of the self-big prophecy. The energy dynamics between human beings. That's an important insight, I should say.
So speaking of giving freely, I wanted to mention that you're going to be at the Conscious Life Expo, right?
That's right. That's right.
Share a little bit more about that.
Well, Friday night, 8 to 9:30, I believe, and that's I'm supposed to know where it is, right?
Tell us which city.
It's in Los Angeles.
L.A., yeah.
It's in Los Angeles, and it's one of the airport hotels. I'm thinking it's the Hilton, but all you have to do is, just Google Conscious Life Expo.
Yeah.
Los Angeles 2020, and you'll get all the details. Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. It's always fun to talk about this. And I've been on tour, with we didn't finish talking about the new release of the Self-Impossible, but it's really simple. We started seeing that it was being passed along by two new generations, and baby boomers passing along again. So the publisher wanted to re-release it, and I wanted to do it afterward. So this, I call it a wake-up adventure that the Self-Impossible is, and that our lives can be. I've summarized in a new afterward.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that, because when you're reading the story, it's really exciting when through the characters you learn about the various insights, and it affects you in a very deep way, and yet it's nice on a rational level to be reminded of what the insights are, and then you've offered guidance about how we can apply these to our own lives. So one of the things that you emphasize that I think is so important is about the integration of spirituality into our daily lives. Are you talking about just in the meditation room, so to speak, or are you talking about something more significant and more
I talk a lot about breaking through to your best creativity, but it's really your best life, your highest consciousness. And the breakthrough point is when you are watching for the flow of every day. You get up in the morning, you ask what's up in your life. You just kind of, you have all these things on your list to get done and all that, but you make sure you're centered in whatever your story is at any point. And then you kind of formulate questions. I don't want to explore this, explore that. Well, that's an intention that the universe responds to with synchronicity. So we're really talking about stepping into the flow of synchronicity that first shows you your mission. You can just read the tea leaves and go, oh, this is what I'm good at giving. Yeah. And that leads you to somewhere to be a larger giver of that information or techniques or invention or whatever it is that you're here to do for humanity. And what happens is all these insights integrate together, and it's very simple. All you have to do is be centered in your life flow. You do have to meditate, because that's how we learn to stay centered, without having to think about it. And I have a meditation that I recommend, and it's in the after the book. I talk about it at the workshops. But I think it's faster, and it's heart based. I think people would, anybody who doesn't scoff at that knows that it's the power of opening that chakra, you can call it, or that aspect of your consciousness, because that's where the security is. It heals all these emotions that knock you out of your path sometimes.
Right.
And that's what's key to staying in the flow.
So let's say we get knocked off of our path and we get out of that flow. Are we just supposed to jump back in, or are we supposed to do a little self-reflection?
Well, first of all, you got to make sure you're not taking from people, or doing something that harms the environment, taking from nature, whatever. If you're in the business of taking, you're not gonna grow very fast.
Right.
But once that's done, I believe you have to come back to your and make sure that your ruling emotion, the one that comes back when some lower emotion knocks you out of your path, is agape love. Now, that is key, because, and some people say, oh, I hate the people that talk about love. I said, well, maybe that's slowing you down if you think that. But a lot of people are cynical out there. Okay, I understand.
Yeah, and I think that part of the cynicism has to do with what some of this has been turned into. This fluff, as opposed to deep substance.
That's right. But you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Absolutely.
If you're not opening your heart, guys out there,
mm-hmm.
then you can't center in your true and open up your natural intuitive intelligence, because
mm-hmm.
it's giving based. That means it needs compassion, and the heart is the ruling. In this design, the ruling emotion is agape love, not erotic love, but
mm-hmm.
agape love. Where and it's not, and it's a love that is just the present emotion that you keep all the time. It doesn't have an object. You can love yourself
mm-hmm.
or love, the God or the source or whatever,
mm-hmm.
But you really want to love as a state of being, right?
Including the chaos and the things that are in the shadows that we're not so happy to see right now, right?
Right. You got this. There's never a reason to love.
Right. Otherwise it's conditional, isn't it?
If you're waiting for some reason to love the world,
uh-huh.
You're going to be waiting a long time, because it's always, love always is pushing the envelope, pushing the darkness, enveloping the darkness, right?
Uh-huh.
So, there's always, you're going to always find chaos in the background of your life.
Uh-huh.
And I want to say this: it's very important that we know right now, at this moment in time, the darkness is in whatever people have an instinct for what's dark. The darkness is so confused; it's forgetting that it's supposed to hide the fact that it's darkness. So you have all these people acting crazy.
Yeah.
Because they can't remember how they used to lie about it before.
Right.
So,
yes.
It's all showing itself to be healed, right?
Right. And that the light is shining upon that shadow, and
that's right.
So there's no place to hide.
The chaos is a result that consciousness is winning.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to hold on to. And because there's a desperation out there, and look, it manifests politically.
Yeah. We have come to the end of the show. Unfortunately, I want to mention again, Conscious Life Expo, February 7th in Los Angeles. James will be speaking at the evening event. And James, boy, the hour has flown by. I know we've got lots more to talk about. I want to thank you for joining us here today.
My pleasure.
And I want to thank you for joining us here today. We hope you've enjoyed this hour, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you'd like to empower yourself to step further into your vibration of change, please visit my website at christineupchurch.com, where you can learn more about my insights, upcoming events, and private sessions.
The views expressed